Howdy, bench warmers, and welcome back to Seniors on JV. If you can't tell, we have a little bit of an upgrade in the setup this week. We are in the Texags studio, and here today we have two very special guests, Charokee Young and Jaevin Reed, Texas A&M track 400 runners, and of course, my lovely co-host, Jake Lanier.
Thank you. I think you're throwing shade at my living room. Is that what you're saying?
I love your living room.
But this is definitely a lot better.
It's definitely
This is definitely a lot better.
And, of course, our invisible producer is back, Ryan Steer.
Hey, yo. What's going on?
Ayo. All right, well, let's get to introducing who these wonderful runners are. First up, we've got stats on Charokee Young. Now, Charokee is in her fourth year here.
Third.
She's a junior on the track,
okay,
but it's her fourth year here. She actually came from Jamaica. She is the collegiate record holder in the indoor and outdoor 4x4. She is number 3 ever to run the 400 outdoors here at A&M. She was a 2020 Tokyo Olympian, and she was this is kind of hard to explain, but in my eyes, she is currently the number 1 400 indoor runner in the nation, but due to altitude and stuff, when we were in New Mexico, they had to round up the times, so she's number 2 right now. Ryan?
We're going to have to edit this one. Oh, okay, never mind. Ryan is not paying attention at this point.
Ryan was asking about this earlier.
Oh, okay.
Ryan was asking about this earlier, but basically due to altitude in track, we have to round times up. We were in New Mexico. It's much higher elevation. So her time is rounded up. So now she's number 2 in the country currently. And also with us is Jaevin Reed. Jaevin Reed is a senior on the track. She is in her 6th year here at A&M.
Super senior.
Super senior. And we thought I was old. No offense.
Yeah.
She is an NCAA collegiate record holder in the 4x4 also. They were on that same team. She is on the number 1 A&M sprint medley relay, and she was a first-team All-American as a freshman in the 400 and the 4x4. So she came out the gates running here. So we've got 2 very great runners here today with us.
Yes. Thank you for having us. We're happy to be here.
So we're going to get started on some questions just about y'all's background. First up, I've got a question for you, Charokee. You were raised in St. Catherine, Jamaica. And what prompted you to come to A&M?
Yeah, I grew up in St. Catherine, Jamaica. It's like one of the biggest parishes in Jamaica because in Jamaica we don't have like states. We have parishes, and it's a really pretty parish. It's kind of like a little bit low-key, not like a city base. So I really didn't do like a lot growing up. Mostly track. I mean, that's kind of like the childhood of like every track athlete. Like, you don't really get to have a lot of fun. Like, you're kind of like just focused on track. So I had a pretty good childhood, but I went to like a boarding school also in St. Catherine. So majority of my childhood went to track. So whenever I was growing up, I always wanted to do like track. I thought it was pretty cool, but I wasn't really thinking about like college and scholarships and stuff like that. Like, as a child growing up, I would like watch track and field going on my TV. I'm like, oh my God, they're so cool. Like, I really just want to be like them, but I wasn't really thinking about college. But the more I grew into the sport and the more I had like knowledge of what all the opportunities I could get through track, I started looking at schools and stuff like that to come to the university, and I really wanted to come to the United States. Surprisingly, I was not thinking about Texas A&M. I did not even know that there was a school called Texas A&M. And I was at practice one day, and I saw a coach pulled up, like, in Jamaica. I was like, who is this person? My coach knew about everything, but I didn't know anything. So Coach Milton came to Jamaica to watch me practice. He knew about me. He did his research. So he knew everything about me, who I was, but I didn't know anything about this school. So in December, I took a visit here, and I saw the track team. I started doing my research on the school. And the thing that made Texas A&M unique compared to other schools was that they were good in both the 800 and the 400. And those were my 2 main events. So I was like, this is so perfect. And like outside of that, I fell in love with the school, the environment. I really liked here. And whenever I came here, I knew that this was the place I had to be.
Yeah, that is completely different from probably mine and Kennedy's recruiting story.
We're an hour away.
But like I had to email coaches, kind of scrape and claw to even get attentions, being a kind of more middle level sprinter, not a senior on JV. While Cherokee, you literally had Coach Milton come to Jamaica and you didn't even know.
Yeah.
I just remember like having to send Coach Henry all these emails. Kennedy like was at practice telling Coach Henry like, this guy from my high school, he's like pretty good. Basically selling me at practice, and Coach Henry probably just was so annoyed by it. He's like, okay, I'll give him a shot.
He saw you were 6'6" and he was interested.
But the thing is, like, we live North Houston. He drove. I remember he was like, I'm gonna come to a home visit. He visited you? Yeah, he
never visited my home.
I didn't have a home visit either though.
Wow.
But I was recruited in the spring. So it was a little different.
Yeah, so I just remember he was like, I'm gonna come, and then we had like dinner with my mom. My dad was out of town on work, and it was just us three like around my tables right after he got his double knee replacement. And he was just like, I remember he rolled up in his Range Rover and he was just like pulled out all his facts.
Was that like 5 Range Rovers ago?
Yeah, that was about 5 Range Rovers ago. And as well as like, it was right off of Fred Curley's kind of breakout year collegiate record. It was just such an easy sell. And I guess Coach Milton, when he recruited you, he had Jasmine just come off winning nationals. Yeah. So it was probably kind of the same way, an easy sell to be like, we've had a former Jamaican win the national meet.
Yeah. I'm actually really happy you brought up that you came in as a 400-800 runner, but we're going to get back to that in a minute. First, I want to ask about Jaevin.
Yes.
You've been here for 6 years now.
I have.
You have your undergraduate degree. You're currently working on your master's.
Yes.
I feel like it's really rare to see a student athlete who graduates with more eligibility stay in the same spot, especially 6 years at one institution. So what's kept you here at A&M this whole time?
Yeah, I think that most people transfer for tons of different reasons. So a lot of people transfer because they're not happy where they are. They're not performing well. They feel like the training is not really working for them. They may not have good relationships with the coaches, or they may not be getting paid to be there. And lucky for me, I haven't had any of those experiences. So I've had a great experience being here at Texas A&M. I've loved my time here. The training works for me well. I've developed great relationships with the coaches, and I've been fortunate enough that they want me to come back. They've asked me to come back year after year, and they're willing to pay for me to be here. And so it was kind of an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And I'm the type of person, like, I'm not just gonna leave for a different experience if they're not offering me more money. Also, the program that I'm in, the master's program in marketing, is the #2 program in the country. So if I were to leave, if I ever considered it, it would have to be a program that had a better track team, which is hard to find, and also a program that had a better master's program than at Texas A&M. And that combination is just so difficult to find.
Who was #1?
For the master's program? Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Their track team is not.
I was recruited by the track team. It's D3.
There's no
pay.
athletic scholarships.
Yeah,
that's a big tidbit about Ivies.
Oh, wow.
I remember I went on an official visit to Penn, and when me and my dad like sat down with the coach, we found out that they gave no athletic aid.
Yeah.
So it was like $70,000, and it was immediately axed off our list. And I was really
this
sad.
close to going to Columbia, and it was $90,000 a year. And my mom was like, "It's Columbia. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll pull out loans." And I was like, "No."
And it would have been so cool to go to Columbia and be in New York, but I just feel like I could not pass it up. Like, I'm not going to go into debt just to go run for a track team that's like half as good, if that. No offense, but like great institution. But no, to me, Texas A&M was the perfect harmony of academics and athletics, which both are really important to me.
And that's definitely what they sell to recruits. And it definitely worked for me. It probably worked for Kennedy. It's like we have a nationally ranked track team. In addition, all the different academic programs that they tout, Mays Business School, the engineering school, it really is hard to beat. And I think it's just an easy choice. Yeah. And you've proven that it worked out for you here. And the grass is not always greener somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. I've been very happy here.
So, pivoting back to Cherokee. You came in here as a freshman for the 400 and the 800. And I remember you coming in, being in the 800 group every day at practices mainly.
I heard you hated it, by the way.
We'll get into that. But you came in doing both. And you, even your freshman year, made indoor nationals in the 800. So now you're completely 400 only. Can you tell me about that transition and what kind of sparked that?
Okay, so I started running the 800 in high school just because we had a 4x8 and they only had 3 legs. So my coach said, guess what? You're running the
Classic reason.
4x8 today. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'll just go out there and try. I mean, like, whatever I do, I kind of like take pride in. Like, I don't like to lose. Like, I just have a fighting spirit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just go out there and do my best. So the first time I ran a 4x8, it was like my worst experience. Like, I was in so much pain while I was running. I was like, please, Jesus, just let it stop. But whenever I did run that 4x8, I actually did pretty good. That was my first time I ran.
Do you remember your time?
I think I split like a 2:14. My first
first
time
one.
ever.
400 or
Yes.
800 ever in high school. That's
in
really
high
impressive.
school.
There's probably about
Yeah.
80% of Division 1 800 runners that cannot even run that time.
So I split 2:14 just because I didn't want to be embarrassed and I wanted to give my team a good leg. And then my coach saw that and I was stuck.
Of course.
And I was really sad about it. And the crazy thing is, like, sometimes, like, events choose you. You don't really choose them. So, like, the 800 kind of chose me in high school because I was, like, really good at it. But, like, in high school, I would practice for the 400, and my coach would, like, sneak a little bit of 800 workouts in. So I'll do, like, a regular 400 workout, and then he'd be like, do a fast 700, and you don't have to do anymore.
So
And
then
I'd be
how
like,
did you get rid of the 800 then?
I'm going to get to that. So I got rid of it in college, of course,
Yeah.
because I didn't get rid of it in high school. Like, it was very much impossible. So I'll be like, okay, I'll just run the 700. And I'll run it and I'll do really good. And then each time I ran the 800, I kept getting better and better and better. And then surprisingly, whenever I got recruited for Texas A&M, my 800 time was like, my 400 time was really good, but my 800 time was like also really good. So it was like somewhat equal to each other. And then whenever I came here, they had a lot of 400 girls. And at the time, they had like a lot of 800 girls, but like my times were a little bit better than the 800 girls that they had here. So I had like conversations with the coaches, and then we came to the decision of choosing the 800 group for like my practice, and I'll go back and forth with the 400 group. So I started off as that. But whenever I got to college, the 800 program that I got was completely different from high school. That was like the real 800 program. And it just made me really sad because I really could not do it. I couldn't handle it.
What was your mileage when you were with the 800 group? Were you?
I don't know. There was times in practice they would have to stop and wait for me whenever we had mile runs. And I was
just completely different in the 400 workouts when you're almost catching me.
Yeah.
We ran a 300 yesterday, and Cherokee's time was really close to mine.
Cherokee is probably faster than Jake on some days.
Okay, but I'm still waiting for your 400 hurdle debut.
Oh, no.
She also did that in high
my
school
spot.
and was like killer. So
I feel like what's really important in track is to do something that you really love, because over time, like track, it's like a lot of ups and downs. Like there's a lot of things that can make you not love track. So I feel like if you have an event that you don't really like and it makes you somewhat miserable, I don't think it's smart to do it, because then you're taking away the joy from the sport. So I chose to do the 400 because I really like it. Even though the practice is kind of like hard, I still enjoy what I'm doing. So like, even though I have ups and downs, I still enjoy what I'm doing. So I won't stop. I feel like if I was still run the 800, I would have gave up.
So how did you convince Henry to release you from the 800 grip?
Okay, so I use very specific words. I said,
Smart.
I'm
Very smart.
I'm not happy.
oh,
Yeah, I said, I'm not happy. He said, why are you not happy? I said, well, I don't like the 800 and it's making me not like track. So I want to do the 400. He was like, well, if you're committed to working hard and you feel like you can come to the 400 group and add to a program, that's fine. I'll take you. And then after that, we had a deal. And then whenever I came to the 400 program, I thought that I needed the strength work from the 800 to run fast, but that wasn't the case. So I'd like ask him, can I go to the 800 program like once or twice a week? After I came to the 400 program, he never sent me back.
No.
That was
Usually how
it.
goes.
And like, I feel like I'm really happy with my decision.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that many times throughout my time here. Once Henry gets someone in his own group, he never lets them go. And now you've become one of his stars, so you're stuck there.
I think his only person he's
Stuck
kind of let
forever.
go was Devon this year. Devon switched back to.
He is now in the sprint group.
He's now in the sprint group. I think Coach Henry kind of like let him go.
Well, he was originally in the 400 group just to kind of, as a precaution, so he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
It's very hard to go from football and then 100% speed in the sprint group. So I think that's kind of why he did that.
And that's the same thing. Jaevin used to bounce back and forth, and I used to be strictly in the sprint group my freshman year because they needed more short sprinters, but now we have way faster people than me in the 100 and 200, so now I got moved to the 400. But talk about how you kind of started off doing sprints and kind of the transition to strictly being with Coach Henry.
Yeah, so we had a different coach back then. So the structure that we have of the track team now is completely different than the structure that we used to have. And so whereas all 400 runners are with Coach Henry, back then it was all women, whether you're 100, 200, or 400 were with the short sprints coach. And then all men were with Coach Henry, whether you were 100, 200, or 400. Then I kind of got hurt a little bit, and Coach Henry took me first. And so I would be the only girl going with Coach Henry in all of his practices. So it was fun, but I definitely missed my girls for sure.
And we missed you.
Yeah. So then after that, he slowly started taking a girl one by one. And so then the 400 girls started training with Coach Henry, and that's kind of how we got the current structure where it's boys who are 100, 200, and short sprinters are with the short sprints coach now, and girls who are 2-4 are with Coach Henry strictly. So it's kind of a gradual thing. Like he slowly started taking me, and then I just got stuck.
So speaking of, you had an injury. You came in really hot your freshman year. You were first team All-American in an individual event as a freshman. That is really unheard of when it comes to track. And then throughout the years, you've struggled with some different injuries. Kind of walk us through what happened.
Yeah, freshman year was awesome. I had so much fun. I learned a lot about myself. And then going into my sophomore year, I was having a much better fall and preseason, I guess you would say, than I was my freshman year. I was really looking forward to the season. And then I started having pain in my foot. And then towards the end of the indoor season, I kind of fractured my foot. And obviously that's super delicate. It's really, you can't really take 2 weeks off because you have to walk. So that kind of took me out for the rest of the season. So I was completely heartbroken. But yeah, that took me out for the rest of the season and part of my junior year season. And then I finally got out of the boot, rehabbed, everything like that, started feeling good about everything. And then towards the end of my junior year, things finally started looking up for me. I was feeling good. And then I started having pain in my knee. And that was just a tough season because I didn't know if I was going to make it through. But we were well into the season to where I knew that the girls needed me because we also won the 4x4 that year, 2019. And so I knew that I had to kind of put my pain to the side and just step up and do what I had to do.
Was it between your ears?
No.
As Coach Henry said.
It was the pain was very much so real, but I got through it.
That's one thing about you. You always show up for your team.
Yeah.
And that
Really
was the
do
most
for your
impressive
team
thing
No,
I ever saw.
I agree.
Because she was getting surgery the day after she ran that national race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was tough because I wanted to do so well for myself individually because I felt like I hadn't done well for myself since my freshman year because of the injuries that I had. And so I think it was, we were in regionals in Sacramento and I couldn't run. I think it was a plane ride that really inflamed my knee and I could not even walk when I got off of the plane. And then I was like, okay, whatever, like I'm just going to shake it out. I still ran the prelim of my individual race and I made it to the next round. But in the next round, it was not happening. I think I ran so slow and it was super, super painful. And then I didn't run the relay, but they still qualified. Everything was great. So then that's when I went to the doctor and I got an MRI and everything like that. And then he basically was like, you need knee surgery. And I just asked him, I have one more race for the whole entire season. Like I have one race. Like if I run at nationals, is it going to mess me up anymore? And he was like, if you can get on the track and actually make it around the track, you're not going to hurt yourself any more than you already are hurt. Because the thing that was happening with me was my knee would just give out. So sometimes I would be running or I'd be warming up and my knee would just give out and I would just fall to the ground. So the question was, could I get around the track? And then at that point, it was like a lot of self-doubt with how fast I was going to be able to run also, just because I didn't know how well my knee was going to hold up. So yeah, basically after he said I wasn't going to hurt myself anymore, I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to do it. Like I have 2 more races. There's 2 rounds of nationals. Just going to give it all I have. And I decided to run, and it paid off because we won. And like you said, I got surgery 2 days later, but it was so worth it.
Oh, I got chills listening to that.
Yeah.
So that was your 4th year.
Yes, that was my
freshman year.
No,
Or
that
junior year.
Junior.
Yeah, that was my junior year, and then after that, I was completely out. So that happened in July.
So now we're going to pivot.
Okay.
And we're going to get to the end of this story for you in a minute. We're going to go back to Cherokee. You, along with a team of Athingmo, Sierra Richardson, and Janiyah Martin, last season won the indoor nationals and broke the collegiate record indoor. Then 2 of those members of that team were not able to run on the relay for outdoors. Can you kind of explain what happened there?
So, I mean, it's track and field. Like, people get hurt. It's like a part of the sport. Like, you can be healthy today and literally by tomorrow something can happen. So, unfortunately, 2 of the girls, one of them got sick and one of them was hurt, like, right after indoor. So, we do have, like, a big group of 400 girls, which, like, everybody's, like, really good. Like, we're all close to each other in time. So, because of that circumstance, like, people had to step up to replace those other 2, and we went out there and we got the job done.
Yeah, and definitely since I've been here, we would always sit at the beginning of the year and be like, this will be our 4x4, and it just proves to show that what you think is never going to be what is at the end of the day, and that's happened every single year, even before I got here.
Yeah, I feel like Henry really chooses who goes on the relay right before. Like, everybody warms up, and then he'll pick the 4 girls he wants. And so it really is a toss-up who it can be every meet.
I mean, that's why we kind of like have really, that was also one of the reasons why I chose here, because I look at a program and not only like individual performances. So one thing that I noticed about Texas A&M was that it had a really good 400 group. So not only one person was just running a really fast time, but like instead of one person, it would be like an entire group. So like, people can easily step up for each other if something would have happened. That's why, like, sometimes it's like right before we go out, he tells us who's going to run, because we're all like really good and we all can step up whenever it really matters.
So that takes us to last season. We are at Outdoor Nationals. Jaevin ended up being put on the 4x4 for the finals. Kind of take me through what led up to that race and then how you felt during that race.
And before you start, can you kind of go back as well and talk about being in your 5th year, not having any indoor eligibility, and kind of how that affected you?
Oh, yeah, because you weren't even eligible to run that indoor season.
Right. So after the 2019 season was my senior year, I was out for the whole entire fall, everything like that. I didn't start training until January. Then that's when COVID happened and everyone was out. So came back, finally feeling healthy again. Things were going great, but I didn't have any more indoor eligibility. So it was definitely tough, because I feel like indoor is when you can kind of iron out a lot of the kinks. And by the time outdoor comes, everybody's ready to run. Like at this point, you've probably run at probably 4 different races, really fast races, and have progressively gotten better. Whereas I haven't been able to get those races under my belt. So it's definitely kind of an uphill battle to climb a little bit. But I think it's a lot of mindset too. I think a lot of my mindset, you just have to get over it and just get the job done. At the end of the day, you're still training. And like, to Cherokee's point, like, we have such a good group of girls that we train with, and we push each other to be better every single day. And I think just having the support of my teammates really helps you and really keeps you focused. And so not having the indoor, I think, definitely delayed my progress a little bit. But after I got those races in, and once I saw that, like, oh, I'm the last man standing, like, I have to get this done for my team. Like, it's only me. Like, I have to get it done. There's no questions asked, because I think we kind of knew who the relay was going to be, and then it switched in a second. So I just knew that I had to pull it together, because I knew that we had a really, really special group. And I knew that we were kind of writing history a little bit with a things story. And I definitely did not want to be the person to like hold the group back from getting that collegiate record because everybody was killing it. Everybody was pulling their own weight. But I mean, it always works out. I think just having the right mindset and continuing to train and having such a good support system, like it worked out and we still won and broke the collegiate record.
So you were second leg. No, you were second leg, Charokee.
Yeah.
Cherokee always breaks it open.
Cherokee was second leg. You handed it off to Jaevin. So you got to watch her run and then basically the second half of the race. Tell me how your emotions were as you got to see that unfold and then you realized that team just broke the collegiate record.
Okay, so like on my home stretch coming down, I was like, okay, I have to give it everything I got. Like I just want to give like every inch I could give to them. Because I just know they always do their best whenever it matters. So I was like, I have to do my best. So, like, whenever I was coming down, like, okay, I need to try to be in front. I have to give them a lead. Like, I have to give them everything I can. So whenever I handed it off and I just watched her go, like, I don't know. I can't really describe how I felt, but I was just, like, really happy because, like, the energy, the environment, everything that was going on, like, I was just like, okay, I feel like we're going to give the record. I just feel like I could just see everything and I just watched them go and it just makes me happy. Like, and also the season was like about to be over. So I was like, this is the last race for like NCAA. I'm like, we're about to be done. We're about to end on a good note. And I was just like really, really happy. But I mean, we see each other every day in practice. We see how everybody works hard. So like, winning and getting the record and everything is just like I'm not only happy for myself, but I'm really happy for the team because I know that they've worked like really, really hard.
Were y'all ever fighting another team or were you just always just fighting the clock? Because I feel like in the indoor season, y'all kind of ran away with it with the collegiate record and then y'all were on fire in the outdoor season. Was USC or some of those other schools that have good 4x4s, was it ever like, oh, we need to beat USC, or were y'all just truly just racing the clock against yourself? And did y'all talk? Did y'all know the collegiate record in time and knew what y'all needed to run?
We definitely knew. I mean, Coach Mallard and Coach Henry like would say it, and Dion too. They would say like, "This is what it is. Y'all can do it." I don't think we were ever really thinking specifically about a team. I just think we were thinking like, "Let's go win." But we definitely knew the time. But I wouldn't even say we were thinking specifically that time. I don't think we realized how fast we could really run in that.
Okay, so for indoor, I remember going to one specific meet, and then Coach Henry was like, we're here to break the collegiate record. He purposely did not let me run the 400 nor a thing. So we were to be fresh. Yeah. So we definitely went to that meet to break the record, and we did.
And was that at Clemson?
That was at Tyson.
No, that was at Tyson, Arkansas. And we had a team. We had another team there that we were competing against, but like we weren't really focused on them. They helped us to break the record because they were running really fast too. But like while I was running, I was like, we're getting this record today. We're getting this record.
Also with indoor, it's difficult because sometimes I think when it comes to SECs and nationals, you're just focused on beating the other team.
Yeah.
Because so much can happen indoors.
Yeah, that's why we try to do it before like SEC or nationals, because like at nationals and SEC, you're more like likely to focus on winning instead of like getting a record. So we went to that meet for the record. So.
All right. Well, I know Jake has a few questions.
Yes.
Take it away.
So, Charokee, you were talking about at the end of the 4x4, that was the end of your NCAA season. Can you kind of talk about going to Jamaican trials and ultimately making the Olympic team?
Okay. So whenever I went to the Jamaican trial, like after I finished with NCAA, I was tired, like mentally and physically.
Very long season.
If I'm being honest, it's a very long season because we started in December and went all the way up until June. So I was like, and to be honest, that was my first time ever practicing that long because in Jamaica, I would normally end my season in April. So this is my first time ever having a season that long. So I really didn't know how to deal with it, but I was going to try and see how it went. So I was really motivated to go to the trial to try to give it a good shot to try to make the Olympic team. I was practicing with Bryce and Dion every day. It was really fun because we will like make jokes. Sometimes coach will be there. Sometimes we're on our own. But like we just had to try to stay motivated because it's the Olympics. Like everybody wanted to make the Olympics. And it's crazy because like at the start of the season, making the Olympic team was like one of my main goals. I was like, I really want to make it. and I feel like I have a huge shot of making it.
You know, I remember when you came in as a freshman, we had a very small conversation. And I remember we were talking about what our goals were. And you said, oh, my goal one day is to be an Olympian. And I remembered that the other day. And I was like, that's so crazy that like I got to witness that you actually like achieved one of your goals.
Yeah. And then whenever I went to Jamaica, it was really weird because normally here we compete like in the afternoon. So my first race, which was fine, that was in the afternoon, like regular time. I ran like a 51.2, which is pretty close to my personal best around the times that I've been running all outdoors. So I was like, okay, that's good. And I qualified to the finals. But the thing that kind of messed me up in the finals is that the race was at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So that means I'd have to do shakeout at about 7 or 6. And my body was not, my body was not used to that. So I got up, I was tired. Jamaica is like a third world country, so it's a lot different from the US. So like here you can get food that early and you can order stuff online. Like Jamaica is not like that. Like you literally have to drive somewhere and try to go get food. So driving around at 7 o'clock, I could not get any food, did not get to do my shakeout, nothing. Wow. So it kind of like messed me up because my routine is off. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just still try to go out there and do my best. Didn't get to do a shakeout, just went out there right before I warmed up. It was like a lot that was going on. But I specifically remember whenever I was like on my marks, it was just different this time. Like I could not mentally lock in. Oh, and I was like, that was a really scary moment because I'm like, why whenever it's this important, I cannot mentally lock in. But as I said before, I was mentally and physically tired from that long season.
It's probably a lot different because you weren't with the team. You had done a whole season competing with other people, warming up with other people, and now you're alone. And I feel like that's just like an introduction to what the professional world would be like. So that was like a really scary moment. I did not run my best because like I just couldn't get it together that day. But
do you know what place and time you got?
So I got last place. I got 8th. And
I
ran like,
but
I ran 52. I ran 52, which I never ran that at all outdoor. That's how I knew I did not do my best. Like I could literally feel it. Like I literally gave up in the race. I was like, oh, it's okay. But like after I was finished, I prayed about it. I was so thankful. I was like, well, at least I gave it a good shot. I went out there and did what I did. I was like, maybe next year. But surprisingly, I got the call and said I made the Olympics team. And I was like really happy again. So I'm like, okay, I got another opportunity. So I continued to practice. And it was just so amazing that I could actually say I went to the Olympics. I mean, not everybody could ever say they're Olympian. And at 20 years old, I could say I am. So.
When you got the call, I know in the United States, top, I believe, 3 automatically make it. And then with the new introduction to the mixed relay, there's kind of like a relay pool. How Bryce Dedman made the relay or made the Olympics as well. It was, I believe Bryce got 7th at the U.S. trials, which I remember watching it live, and I thought the relay pool was only 6 people, which it previously was. So I was really bummed to see that Bryce wasn't going to make it individually and potentially not make it as a relay. But then I came to find out with the mixed relay, the pool got a little bigger. When they made that call to you in Jamaica, was that the same way that they were communicating with you that you were in the mixed relay pool?
Yeah, it was the exact same. So I was in the relay pool as an alternate. So whenever I got to the Olympics, there's like certain credentials that you'd get that are slightly different from everybody else. And the only way that I would be allowed to compete was if one of the person who's originally in the relay pool gets hurt or gets COVID. So I was like, if that didn't happen, they couldn't be like, okay, I'm going to put you to run. Like that wasn't going to happen. So it's not like here when coach can decide, okay, I'm going to put you for the heats and then switch you out for the finals. Like the only way I could run was if that person got COVID or got hurt. So yeah,
because I definitely did some research on my own. Jamaica in the mixed relay, they got 7th place. They ran a 3:14.95, which was probably a disappointment for Jamaica being a sprint powerhouse. And in the finals, the 2 women, I'm not going to name their names, they ran 51:14 and 52:24. And being on the same team as you for the last 3 years, I know for a fact that in that moment and on that stage that you definitely were capable and would have been able to run faster than that? And can you was it kind of disappointing to know that seeing those times, I know it's disappointing as a country, as a team, that they didn't do as well. You never hope for them to run bad, but can you talk about kind of what you thought when you saw what they ran and were like, I could have done this myself?
Yeah, I was really sad watching everything going on. Not saying I could go out there and do better than them, but I just wish at the trials things were a little bit different where I could cement my spot, where I would be like option, be like, okay, I could convince them, let me go out there and give a good shot. Like, I've like split like really fast times, and I know like on an international level and representing my country, I'd really do a really good job. I really just hoped I had the opportunity to go out there and do that. Unfortunately, it wasn't like that. So that really just motivated me for this year to work even harder. So the next time I hit the track in Jamaica, hopefully I can cement my spot so I could go out there and show them what I can do.
Yeah. And then I guess my other question to Jaevin, kind of coming in, you were 2 years older than me. When I came in as a freshman, you were a junior, and it seemed like you were really established, as we said, on the track, but especially off the track. At that point, you were really involved within the Mays Business School, some different organizations like Maroon Coats. It just seems like you really embody the student athlete. Can you kind of talk about kind of those struggles of balancing your time with athletics and with academics, social, and just your typical family time?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, that's part of the reason that I came to Texas A&M, because of the academics and the networking opportunities, and also being on the track team. So I knew coming in as a freshman, I have other interests outside of track. So I knew that I wanted to get involved and just pour into different areas of school. It's incredibly difficult. I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very busy all the time, but I love it. I find when I have downtime that I'm not super productive and don't get a lot done, and I feel kind of lazy. So even though I am tired most of the time, I love it. I really wouldn't have it any other way. I think I've met some of the most amazing people from being so involved in school, and also I've got to know a lot of my professors, and just networking with a ton of different people, and I've met some of my best friends in different organizations. But the track team is also my family too. I do sometimes feel a bit spread thin because I wish I could give a little more to different areas, but it's been so worth it. And I always encourage student athletes to come in and kind of broaden their horizons so they don't get pigeonholed into being just an athlete, and so that they have options whenever it's time for them to graduate. And so I have gone through so many injuries, and I find that people sometimes get lost in the sport, and when it's taken away, and when I didn't have my season sophomore year, that's when I really started getting a lot more involved, because I realized that outside of track, like what else is there? And so that's when I started to try to figure that out for myself. And so it's so important for athletes to have other outlets besides their sport, just because I think it keeps them a little bit sane.
And your hard work really paid off. You actually are graduating with your master's this semester,
Yes.
and you already have a job lined up. Tell us about it.
Yes, so I will be moving to Chicago in September. I'm very excited. The role is with a company called Salesforce, and I'm sad that track is over, but it's time to move on.
It might not be. It might not be.
It's time to move. It's definitely time to move on
You
to
don't
the
want to
next
do 7
level.
years?
No, I'm so good. But no, I'm very excited to move on to the next phase of my life and just start something new. I'm nervous, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely will miss the aspect of being on a team, because I think it's so fun, and like I consider y'all my family, like for real. So I'm definitely will be really, really sad to leave everybody, but I will come back and support and everything like that. But very excited for the next chapter.
And we're very excited and proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, the question period is over. I think Ryan is going to take it away with our game.
Well, first, Ryan, being my roommate and we met outside of track, can you kind of talk about as a regular student in your life and comparing to how you see me live as a student athlete?
Well, these days, Jake, I don't know if I would consider you much of a student. You do less school than I do, considering you're in a master's program. That's all I'm going to say. But no, it's definitely interesting seeing how a Division I athlete functions on a day-to-day, when it comes to obviously, practice every day, going to meets, preparing for meets, interacting with all the track team. I've met quite a few of them actually over the years. So there's a lot of good people, and it's definitely interesting to see how it works out. But to end this, I think we are going to play a little most likely to, spark up some debate, hopefully.
Woohoo.
Get a little spicy.
Yeah.
And we're just going to be doing this most likely to between the four of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's going to be most likely to, and he's going to present a question, and we're going to go down the line and say, who do we think and why?
Okay. Just us four.
Yes,
Yeah,
just us
gotcha.
four.
All right, to kick it off, who is most likely to show up late to practice?
And we're going to start with Cherokee and come down this way.
Uh,
Out of us four. That's
I
kind of
feel
hard.
like-
I don't think
no,
any
I
of
really
us.
feel like you're be the one that's late.
I've actually never been late to practice.
Really?
No.
I would say Cherokee only because there was a while when you didn't have a car, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, maybe trying to find a ride. It would be difficult. That's
Yeah.
my only reason. Not throwing shade.
Let me see. Can I say myself?
Sure.
I would say Jaevin too, not showing up late on purpose. Just
Yeah.
last semester with Jaevin's
Yeah.
master's classes, Jaevin had to train basically 4
Literally.
days by herself. Luckily, one of the days I had class as well, so I joined the missing class.
That's the only reason I'd be late though, because I hate being late. But yeah, scheduling, yeah, sometimes me.
And Jaevin's also in charge of this indoor season when we were away for some away meets. She was in charge of attendance with Coach Henry. She's
The most fun
The
job.
most
Team
job.
mom.
team mom.
All right, next we have most likely to have the best travel trip outfit.
Oh yeah, that's easy, Kennedy.
Kennedy
See,
shuts it down.
I have to say Jaevin because my sophomore year at the BCAs, the Building Champion Awards, there was a best dressed competition, and me and Jaevin were both up for it, and Jaevin won. So
Really?
she has the title of best dressed.
Yeah.
I do, but you shut down the travel trips. I'm a little lazy sometimes. Comfort over, cuteness. Only sometimes when it comes to travel because my feet hurt.
I will take every opportunity I can to wear heels. I love heels.
I've definitely gotten the comment from Coach Henry when we were traveling, be like, would you wear this to a job interview? And this past meet, some of the sprinters, not me, but wore some not traditional shoes that Coach Henry kind of approved of. And they kind of all got a little talking to and said, these shoes will not be allowed next travel trip.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
wow.
Of
So they
course.
just made it bad.
They just, yeah.
They just cemented it that you don't ever wear those
Yeah,
shoes
I would probably say Kennedy too, because she probably has like 4 different outfits before she even leaves, and then is just like in this like endless debate by herself, like what am I gonna wear?
It's so true. I love outfits.
All right, next we have most likely to throw up in a workout. Now I'm going to chip in here. I've seen Jake after a meet, after running a 400. It looks like the guy just ran 2 marathons. So I feel like this got to be Jake. But
I can't say Jake because I've seen him throw up for other reasons, but not because of workouts.
No, but
Unfortunately,
Ryan was at the meet where I ran a 400, and I just like ran awful. It was my worst race in like 2 years, and I always sit down and kind of like find a chair and watch the other heats run, and like if my relay's running, I'm like trying to like get myself like I'm like discombobulated, trying to focus on myself while my team's running. And this meet, I walked through the indoor field, talked to Coach Henry, kind of went through my race, and just like I feel awful. Walked up to our trainer Sewell, and I'm like, I feel awful. So I walk outside of the football fields, and I've never thrown up in a track workout since 7th grade or after. And this was the first time I've thrown up. And one of A&M's kickers was practicing field goals, and I'm just like bent over, like puking. He was probably like, what is this kid doing? Hopefully.
Ew.
And it would have been worth it if I PR'd, but I ran awful, so it was horrible.
See, I'm different. In high school, I was known to be like throwing up in every practice. I remember there was
I
one
remember
practice. You went to high school with me every single day. It wasn't the workouts. It was the nerves. I had such talented girls, and I did not want to be running with them because I couldn't keep up, and I would throw up every practice. I threw up on my coach's shoes one time because he was like, it's time to go, and I was like, I can't. So yeah, me.
At least it's from the nerves though, and not because you just.
I mean, after
like,
12 years
ran
in the
yourself to
sport, I
death.
still get the nerves. So you would think
Dang.
I'd grow out of that. Not really. Do y'all throw up ever?
In high school, I threw up a lot because I feel like my high school practice was way harder than college practice.
Well, you're doing 800s then, so yeah.
I've thrown up a couple of times, never during practice, but I've thrown up after a 400, like maybe once or twice.
I definitely did that at the dual meet at Texas.
Really?
There's a video.
It's coming back to you.
Hey,
Oh,
you
shoot,
threw
there
up on
was.
the UT track. That's where you need to throw up.
No, it was over the trash. It was like a picture of her.
You
over
did
the
it on
trash can.
purpose.
No, I did not. I wish.
So, the next one. Who is most likely to make Coach Henry mad?
Jake.
Yeah, I would say Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah, that's probably a really easy answer, but to
You did this week.
to spin zone it to who would most likely make Coach Henry happy, Jaevin, I think, has really, like, through her 6 years, kind of like, it's like, I think Coach Henry really sees you as like his own daughter, and I feel like you're kind of like the team mom of the team, and like he definitely looks up to you, and everyone else on the team looks up to you. So I definitely say who would make Coach Henry happy the most, probably Jaevin.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
see, I get stuck doing all the dirty work. Like, Jake, anytime you don't want to ask Coach Henry something, everybody comes to me and's like, can you ask Coach Henry this?
I
Like,
do this all the time with Jaevin. I'm like, okay, like how Cherokee was talking earlier about you kind of have to phrase it right and be like, I'm not happy.
You know how to phrase it.
I have like ideas, and then I go straight to Jaevin and I go, this is the best. She's gonna have the best delivery and get the job done.
Then the last one we have is who is most likely to be found at Northgate?
Jake.
That's easy, Jake.
yeah, I would say Jake
He
too.
lives
You
here.
I live behind Northgate. Yes.
No, like in my youth, I used to go to Northgate.
I feel like
So old now.
no, but I feel like because COVID kind of took a hamper of kind of like the social and team aspects. And I really felt bad for the freshmen last year because they didn't really have. We were kind of promoted to like not even hang out with our roommates
Yeah.
if they were on the team. And then I felt like when I came in the years previous, I feel like there was a big bond of people that would not necessarily go out to Northgate, but y'all definitely I felt like did a lot of
would.
social aspects and kind of like. Hopefully I'm just going to put this in there so Jaevin will have to because I'm going to do this on public. But
gosh.
I'm looking forward to Javen's next party because in years
Yeah.
past, Javen's had some themed parties.
I love a good theme.
And those were always kind of like the big part of the track team that it got everyone together.
A lot of bonding.
And now it's kind of Sam Presnell, his parents who live in town. They've kind of become the new like team mom and team dad. But I'm still looking forward to a Jaevin Reed track
I want
party.
to. We're definitely going to do a swim party this year, and I'm trying to.
At Coach
Didn't we
Henry's
do-
house.
I'm
At Coach
trying.
Henry's
I'm
house.
trying so
He would
hard, guys.
never.
Did we not do something at the Cove?
Well,
Yeah.
Right before
yeah,
nationals.
we
yeah,
did.
we did.
That was fun.
Before-
But we used
yeah.
to have like an actual swim party.
That was really fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. I think we'll bring it back. But COVID is just hard. I do
Cherokee,
feel
you ever
bad
go to
though.
Northgate?
Freshman year.
Freshman year. That was
Now it's
everyone's
like-
freshman year.
Pre-COVID.
No.
Okay, but if you go with a good group,
We
Okay,
need to
so
get a good
I
group of
do
us
want to go
together.
out one of these days. I don't know when. Just with like the group and just have fun.
It's
Yeah.
a good way to like get people out of their comfort zones, but as well as like all we do is talk about track. It's really nice when we hang out outside of track and just not talk about track.
Yeah.
I'm
Some
going to cross
steam.
my fingers that Coach Henry doesn't watch this. But after next weekend's SECs, which is home, we should all go out together.
We kind of have an off week this week.
yeah, but we also have SECs.
Next
Cherokee.
week. Next
After
week.
SECs,
too much.
Too much. But I would definitely say if we're talking about delivery, I think you should go to Mrs. Henry and maybe
Gail?
Gail and
I've
get.
already done that, Jake. I'm already ahead of you.
Okay, there we go. This is amazing.
It's in the works, okay?
and with that, I think that is the end of today's episode. Thank you so much, Cherokee and Jaevin, for joining us. And we hope everybody enjoyed the episode today of Seniors on JV. And please let us know if you like the new setup. I know you do. It's 10 times better. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.